Hello everyone. So today's video is about socio-religious reform movements of India. As we all know how within Indian society religion plays a major role even today. But previously in pre-modern era also certain classes dominated and shaped the society according to them in the name of religion. In this video, we will see the reasons and the causes which led to the socio-religious reform movements and also the details about these movements. Factors which are responsible for giving rise to the desire for the reform was the introduction of Western education. When people were introduced to the Western education, a new thought developed within them, and this was different from what they learned from the traditional and religious studies. Also, the aspects of science and scientific outlook helped to think them in this direction. As we are aware of the fact that there were many social ills and religious practices like idolatry and polytheism, also monopoly of scriptural knowledge was prevailed in Indian society. Also, the position of the woman was not good at that time. Female infanticide was not unusual in the society, child marriage prevailed, and also the practice of polygamy prevailed in the region of Bengal. Kulinism was one such practice of marriage where a girl can marry in the same caste or a higher caste. She was not allowed to marry in a lower caste. The caste system is something which we still practice in the Indian society. It is a system of segregation hierarchically ordained on the basis of ritual status. The untouchables suffered from numerous and severe disabilities as well as restrictions. Social mobility was checked and social division grew, and also individual initiative was thwarted. This caste system became a watertight situation from the Gupta periods itself. The Indian society also opposed Western culture and it was treated as an intrusion to the Indian culture and ideology. An attempt was made to revive the traditional institution and to realize the potential of the traditional culture. There were some social and ideological basis for the reform. So first we will look at social basis. It was the middle class with the introduction of Western education that brought greatest transformation in the middle class base. With this introduction, the middle class could see the problems within the Indian society and wanted a reform for it. And then again, there were Christian missionaries which helped to reform the social basis. Christian missionaries were also instrumental in the social reform along with many enlightened individuals like Jyotiba Phule, Gopal Hari Deshmukh, K.T. Tilang and many others. The newly developed intellectual criteria was the new ideological base, where rationalism was used to judge the social relevance. For example, one of the reformers, Akshay Kumar Dutt, quoted, "Rationalism is our only preceptor." These reformers used a rational approach to study tradition and they evaluated the contemporary socio-religious practices from the standpoint of social utility, which replaced the faith with rationality. As a consequence to this, Brahmo Samaj, the infallibility of the Vedas, was repudiated. Many of the intellectuals set aside the authority of religion and evaluated the truth in any religion by the criteria of logic, reason, or science. According to Swami Vivekananda, the same method of investigation which applies to sciences should be the basis on which the religion must justify itself. Also, reformer Akshay Kumar Dutt, for instance, brought medical opinion to support his views against child marriage. The reformers tried to reform their religions, but there was a universalistic aspect to their religious perspective. Raja Ram Mohan Roy considered different religions as a national embodiment of the universal theism. Humanitarian morality was the base for all these social reform movements. Attention was focused on worldly existence and not on the issues of salvation or other worldliness. These social reforms were directed to fight for the betterment of the status of women in the society and to fight and remove the disabilities arising out of untouchability. The problems faced by women in the patriarchic scenario by then was that they were assigned low status and also considered inferior to men. They enjoyed no scope of giving expression to their talents and also suppressed by the practices such as parda, early marriage, ban on widow remarriage, and sati. Women were economically and socially dependent on male relatives. Education was generally denied to them, and Hindu women did not enjoy the right to inherit the property. There were no equality between men and women in the matters of divorce, and polygamy was prevalent among Hindus as well as Muslims. The first big step towards woman position was taken in the year 1829 by abolishing sati. The government declared that the practice of sati was illegal under the regulation of 1829 and also punishable by criminal courts as culpable homicide. The prominent leader for this change was Raja Ram Mohan Roy. For preventing female infanticide, Bengal Regulation of 1795 and 1804 were declared. According to this, the practice of female infanticide was illegal and equivalent to murder. An act was passed in 1870 and made it compulsory for the parents to register the birth of all the babies. Widow remarriage was made possible with the Hindu Widow Remarriage Act 1856 due to the efforts of Pandit Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar. Also, Jagannath Shankar Seth and Bhau Daji schools were established in Maharashtra. Widow Remarriage Association was formed by Vishnu Shastri Pandit. Articles about widow remarriage were imprinted on Satya Prakash in Gujarati by Karsan Das Mulji. The other prominent leaders which worked towards the cause were D.K. Karve in Western India, Veera Salingam Pantalu in Madras, and Govind Mahadev Ranade, as well as K.T. Natarajan. For controlling the child marriage, the Native Marriage Act was passed in 1872, which prohibited child marriage. Also, with the efforts of B.M. Malabari, the Age of Consent Act 1891 was passed, which forbade the marriage of girl below the age of 12. Also, with Sardha Act of 1930, the marriage age was increased to 18 and 14 for boys and girls. For the education of women, the Christian missionaries were the first to set up Calcutta Female Juvenile Society in 1819. Also, the Bethune School was founded by J.E.D. Bethune, who was the president of Council of Education at Calcutta in 1849. This was the first fruit of the powerful movement for women education which arose in the year 1840s and 1850s. Pandit Ishwarchand Vidyasagar was associated with no less than 35 girls' schools in Bengal. Charles Wood's dispatch on education in 1854 also highlighted the need for educating women. The Indian Women University was set up by Professor D.K. Karve in 1916. Women organizations like Arya Mahila Samaj of Pandita Ramabai Saraswati were also founded to serve the cause of women. Ramabai Ranade founded Ladies Social Conference, which was also known as Bharat Mahila Parishad, in 1904 in Bombay. Bharat Stree Mahamandal in Allahabad in the year 1910 was founded by Sarla Devi Chaudhrani with the agenda for the promotion of education for women, abolition of Parda system, and the improvement of socio-economic as well as political status of women. In year 1925, the National Council of Women in India by Mirabai Tata played a vital role. The All India Women Conference, founded by Margaret Cousins in 1927, had the objective to work for a society based on the principles of social justice, integrity, equal rights, and opportunities. Our reformers also fought for the disabilities created by untouchability. It is unfortunate for us that in today's scenario also we see and we come across examples of untouchability being practiced in many areas despite the presence of strict laws against it. However, the only difference here was that before the religious reforms, people accepted untouchabilities as their fate. There were several factors that helped to mitigate caste-based discriminations. These factors were the concept of equality before law, also the creation of private property in land and free sale of land which disturbed the caste equations. Modern commerce and industry, growing urbanization and modern means of transport added to the mobility of populations. The new education system also helped to enlighten the people to see the problems of caste-based discrimination. There were several social reform movements that helped to mitigate the caste-based discrimination, like attack on the rigid hereditary basis of caste distinction and the law of karma, spread of education among the untouchables, and institutions like All India Scheduled Caste Federation by Baba Saheb Ambedkar, which to a larger extent created an impact on the Indian society. Baba Saheb Ambedkar also led the Mahad Satyagrah in March 1927. Self-respect movement led by E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar was also helpful in this untouchability situation. The national leaders and organizations opposed caste privileges and they also fought for equal civil rights and free development of the individual. In Maharashtra, Jyotiba Phule gave highest priority to education of lower caste, especially the girls. The Indian Women University was set up by Professor D.K. Karve in 1916. All these efforts were towards increasing the opportunities of education for the lower caste. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you. For more videos, please subscribe our channel.